Hello and welcome to round 13 of the Nations Cup from Dragon Trail Seasides 2. The 2 refers to the fact that it's the reverse way round. So we've got 7 races we can take part in. You can take part in all of them, you can take part in one of them, but it only records your last race for the rankings, for points. So if you do badly in your first race, you can have another go at it. The race details are 5 times tyre wear during the race and 4 times fuel consumption. There are no required pit stops, so we don't have to pit stop at all, but we do need to use racing hards during the race. So if we start on racing hards, we don't need to pit. If we start on mediums, we need to pit at least once, but we don't need to pit. So let's have a look at, I've matched with, I matched with a few C drivers there as well, so this will be interesting. So drivers that have got a few more points in the actual drivers rating system as opposed to the Nations Cup points, and they've either played longer or they've done better in the races they've played in. But generally you think they'll be more experienced and probably faster. But let's have a look at my qualifying lap. You see currently my best at the moment is a 151.7. So let's see if we can improve on that. I'm sure we will. That's why we're showing you this particular lap as a bit scruffy. I've got myself a bit of a tow from 2 drivers, but one's just gone off. So what you're looking for in the opening lap, as I set my best time there, you're looking for a bit of space in the opening lap to not get hampered by drivers, but also if you can be close enough to to get a bit of tow down the straights, as I'm doing so here, that will actually help you improve your lap time, as long as he doesn't do anything to distract you through the corners. So far so good. We're on hard tyres. What I did do, I set my tyres to hard before this event, but what I forgot to do is change to medium for the qualifying. Obviously medium are the grippier tyres, so therefore they would in theory give you the fastest lap times, but I forgot to actually change them. So I'm setting my qualifying lap on hard tyres here. I don't know what the others are doing, but mine is, we're very close to him now, so if he slows me down, that's going to hamper me, but he hasn't yet, and I'm very close to him, so I'm going to get a very good tow down this final straight to the start and finish line. Let's see if I have improved my total lap. Yes, 150.5, so 1.2 seconds up. That currently has me in second, but obviously as others finish, I've now dropped to 4th and 5th, 6th. Welcome to race day, round 13, if you've just joined us, of the Nations Cup from the Dragon Trail Seaside circuit based in Croatia. And let's have a look at the grid. Here we go. There are a lot of Peugeots in this race. A lot of drivers chose the Peugeot RCZ. Georges Manuel from France chose it in first place, as did Livery from Italy in second. Bad News Jones there in third, and Chataras Berry in fourth in a Porsche from Spain. Martos Chema from Spain in 5th, and there I am in 6th place. Behind me from Belgium is GTSV Kiki, and Navire Future from France in 8th. In his cool liveried Peugeot Alex Gribo K, and Alessio CO3 from Spain in 10th. 11th we have Hanas and Don Hunter 1974 in 12th from Germany. 13 Milo H7 from Spain, and Italy Genox 72 in 14th. Behind him in 15th Cuttle Clam from the UK in his BMW, and Boris Whitman in his Huracan in 16th. 17th Ost 1330 in his Mercedes AMG, and Kumeki in his Peugeot in 18th. 19th is Bib Briosa. So there we go, the 20th driver must have dropped out, and here we go down the start straight in auto drive before the countdown to start the race. Here we go. So 6th place. What can I do in this race? I've got to keep it clean. These Nation Cups, the concentration required is obviously greater due to the length of the race. But can I keep it clean? Have a good race myself as I muscle my way around the inside. Turn 1, but he's alongside me, and he's managed to get his place back as Martos Chema. So coming into the heavy braking zone, but you can take a lot of speed through this with the line right. A little clunk on the side as a couple of us did there, and through. Now that is obviously slightly easier when you don't have to worry about other people to distract you. Coming down to the hairpin, 2nd gear, and back up through this fairly fast section here. I find myself I need a little lift on that corner, and then just a little lift there to get through these corners with increasing speeds. And now as you see, I've lost a bit of ground to 5th, so hopefully once I settle down I can hopefully claw some time back. So there are a lot of C-rated drivers in this race, so drivers with a lot more experience, and those that have gained a lot more points than I have, being only rated D. D-rated drivers are those that during their play time online on Gran Turismo have accumulated up to 4,000 points from not the actual race points you pick up in these, but from the points it gives you for your achievements during driving, whether you overtake, higher position finishes. That's a whole separate ranking system it gives for the driver ratings. So if you've accumulated up to 4,000, you're up to D. Once you've passed 4,000 points, you become a C-rated driver. And there are quite a lot in this race, so whether that'll make any difference to my position or not, but at the moment we're hanging on there in 6th. Clean a line through there. Martos Chema, who started in front of me in 5th, has actually moved up to 3rd. Now we already know that there are no requirement for pit stops, and the little icon just to the left of my virtual dashboard shows the tyres. It shows what tyres I'm on, racing hards, and it shows the little white patches on all the tyres. They show the tyre wear rate, which we know is 5 times during this race. And also for this, I'm doing the in-car or the front of the car camera footage, so you get to see the fuel map gauge, which at the moment is on level 1 for power. Now in the middle of my speedometer there on the left of the virtual dashboard, you can see a fuel tank going down. I'm having to keep an eye on that. We don't need pit stops, but if the fuel doesn't last or the tyres don't last, we will need to pit anyway. We will keep an eye on that during the race. we're going to be looking around about 7.5 laps to have half the amount of fuel tank left. That'll give us a good indication of whether we can finish the race or not. As we come to finish lap 2, and I've actually got a fastest lap of the race so far, 151.2. And we know I can go faster than that. We also overtook someone there who'd obviously had a bit of an off and had greyed out. So we're up into 5th on lap 3. I shall try and stop waffling on about this, that and the other. Hopefully you've found it a bit of informative and maybe even useful in any future races you may do yourself. Now we come to the hairpin again. We're closing up on these drivers in front as someone runs through, cuts the corner there a little bit. He hasn't picked a penalty up, so I must say at the moment we're having a good race. Oh, and yes, some knocking about there. He's actually knocked someone off the track, or he's gone off himself because no one's picked up a penalty for that. So I don't know quite what happened there. It looked like contact was made. And because of that contact, I've now moved up into 4th place. So, keeping myself to myself is actually working, and I'm keeping it on the track as we go a little deep into that corner, but now a lot closer to 3rd place. So, sitting pretty at the moment. Fingers crossed, I won't speak too soon, but fingers crossed I can have another good race like I did in the last race, if you watched that from the Kyoto driving park, where I had a really good race and finished 1st. If you want to watch that, you can click on the card in the corner of the screen if you haven't already done so. So 3 laps down, 4th place, and some consistency to my lap times as well, which is good. Now we've used 1/4 of the tank of fuel already after 3 laps, so it's looking likely we'll have to pit for fuel, but we can also turn the fuel map down if we think it'll get us to the end. Screech with the tyres you can hear is usually a bit of understeer. Yeah. On the limit of the tyres, you pass the limit of the tyres as you go into the corner entries. It's usually understeering as I leave my braking to the last possible second that I feel I can. And it's working. Obviously I'm going right on the back of Georges Manuel now in 3rd place. Oh yes, very good. Yes, had a very good entry and exit into those last couple of corners, that last chicane, and he's still by me. You can just see him in the rear. Yep. Oh, that's very close going in. Now he's going to have the inside line for the first hairpin as I cross the line to start the 5th lap. He's going to have the inside line, so I've got to be wary of that. And yes, he's actually braked and took the inside line and managed to hold it. So well done there. But he must have gone off the track somewhere as he's picked up half a second penalty. So he had a very good line into that, very good late braking which he held, but if I can stick with him I will gain that place back at the penalty zone. Well, the penalty zone is coming around the corner. You can see his yellow bar slowly filling. When it gets filled, that means he's reached the penalty zone, so he'll slow down. I try and avoid that greyed out car because you never quite know when it's going to come back to being solid again. You don't want to go to race through him and then he kind of changes to solid again and crash into him, so you avoided that. But yes, I did gain that place. I don't quite know where he lost the track limits, but I'll take it anyway. So up into third. So far this is looking out to be a very good race. As we're halfway around. Oh! I dived for the inside. He didn't see me coming and he turned in on me. Am I going to get a penalty for that? No. So, computer says yes. That was fair. It wasn't intentional. I dived for the inside. I saw a space and he turned in on me. So that's good move there to gain second. And unfortunately that little knock has set him back a little bit, so I apologise for that, for anything there, but fair enough in the eyes of the PlayStation and Gran Turismo. Let me know if you feel it was a move I shouldn't have made. Obviously you see a gap, you go for it. And some of the, I mean, you notice yourself, I can see behind me in the top of the screen, but I can't see to the side of me, so maybe if you'd been aware that I was coming through, you wouldn't have turned in on me. So I can see why I've got a penalty for that. I didn't mean to make contact with him, but it was probably more him turning in on me. Anyway, we're digressing now. We're digressing from the fact that I'm now in second place on lap 6. Now, we're coming up to half the tank of fuel, so I've turned the fuel map down to 2, just to see if we can eke out and get to halfway with some reasonable level in the tank. And all that does is it just decreases your power a little bit, so you can't go 100% flat out. Well, you can go as flat out as you can go, but obviously that flat out is now a little bit reduced so that it uses less fuel. It's working for me. My lap times are still, in fact lap 5 had my best lap time so far of the race. So while I've got gaps behind me, and just to avoid hopefully not making a pit stop. As we come now to complete, so we're not quite halfway, this is the end of lap 6. And we are now actually halfway down on fuel, so I've turned my fuel map down to 3 now. So most of the first 6 laps have been on power 1, so let's see if we can get close to the last 7 laps on fuel map setting 3. Let's see how we go. I've got a gap of 2.5 seconds behind me. Lap time's dropped off a little bit, that's probably because I've got less power available to me. But we've still got a 2-second gap to third place. All we're doing now really is we're trying to find out whether we can possibly finish the race without a pit stop. Obviously if others around me pit, then that frees up my options if I need to. So keep an eye on all those positions at the top. The other benefit of the in-car footage, the actual me recording the race as I'm racing it and not saving the replay, the other advantage of that, it gives us the my gaps to the people in front and behind me. So as you can see, first place Brilly Perry is out on his own, he's having his own race, which is good for him. I don't need to worry too much about him. I'm probably not going to catch up if he's that far ahead already. But with pit stops, and who knows, and also it shows a gap to third place of 3 seconds, so that gap has increased from 2 seconds despite me turning the fuel map down. So that's another good sign I'm doing okay in the race. So coming up to finish lap 7. And another 152. 7 laps completed, 8 to go in this. Now you see a couple of people have stopped now and they've put on medium tyres in their pit stops. Now hopefully they've started on hard. Oh no, George Manuel is that? No, they went in on mediums and they changed to hards. So that's their requirement for hard tyre usage satisfied. It also now gives me a different driver behind me and he's 5.5 seconds back. So I'm still waiting to see whether I need a pit stop, although it's possibly going to happen, as we're only just now coming up to half of the race, 7.5 laps in, and I've used well over half of my fuel tank, even turning the settings down now to 4. So we don't have to pit just yet. We can see others around pit first. Gives us another window to come into. We've got a few laps to do this before we need to pit. And as you can see, these sector times, they are dropping off with my slower, less power available. I feel like I'm talking about this fuel map and pit stops and a bit too much here, so but because I've got nobody to watch ahead of me, I'm wondering what other information I can give you. Let's see if someone pits at the end of this lap behind me. The leader's gone through, still racing. Of course, if I'd have known I was going to have to make a pit stop, I maybe wouldn't have changed the power fuel map settings. But let's see, is anyone pitting behind me? No. So, oh yes, 4th place is pitted. 4th place is pitted. He's gone in on mediums, 37 litres of fuel left. And if he goes off further down than 8th place, I can't see what he's doing. So he's pitted from 4th. Hopefully we may see Bad News Jones pit behind me, who's almost 6 seconds back, so he's not gaining on me. So I know that if he pits and I pit, I can hopefully keep my 2nd place. Obviously, the bit of information I don't have is whether anybody else is using the fuel map settings to any kind of advantage or not. But even on the 4th lowest setting of 4, I'm not losing any time, or 3rd place isn't gaining on me at all. So we're okay so far. We're 8.5 laps in, and I've got just over a quarter of a tank left, so I am resigned to pitting. Don't know when to make my move yet. As we now extend that lead to 6.3 seconds. Quite. Brilly has gone 13.5 seconds ahead now, so he is coming up. Oh, he's pitted. This will be an indication of how much time the pit stops actually take. So he went into the pits 13.1 seconds ahead. We won't really know this until we get to the next. There you go, 6.5.5, 4.7. Oh, he went in 13 seconds ahead. So it's looking like around 8, just over 8 seconds, as Bad News Jones did pit now. So he's now 14.5 seconds behind me. So Bad News Jones has pitted. He's 14 seconds behind me, and we just now know that a pit stop loses you around about 8 seconds. So I need to be coming in at the end of this lap now before he gains too much of that time back on his fresher tyres. You see he's already 12.8, he's gaining on me. I've turned my power down to 5, although that in this moment it's probably a bad idea, as I'm coming into the pits anyway now. A quarter of a tank left, and he's gaining on me too quickly for me to stay out. But with 8 seconds I should have enough time. Well, let's see. Only 11.6 seconds now, 11.5, so he's gaining. And Brilly Perry is extending his lead again from the 4.5 seconds it came down to after his pit stop. So it all comes down to this, the gap has come down to 10.6 seconds.
see my tyre grips have fairly down as well, so this will give me fresh boots. I can put mediums on now, which I'm going to. I've got 5 laps of the race left, so I'm going to stick in enough fuel for 5 laps. 1, 3, 4, 5. Stop fueling and go. Now I've come out in 4th, so that refueling must have taken a little longer than the standard pit stop. I maybe could have got away with it with a quarter of a tank left, but I wasn't going to risk it. I'm happy with 4th. I've got some better tyres on now, some fresh grip. I've got to be wary of not going off with these until they get to temperature, as we saw racers do in my last race at Kyoto Park. We saw lots of people going off in the first corner after putting fresh boots on. So 3.5 seconds back from 3rd now. Am I going to settle for 4th? I'm not going to settle for 4th, but is 4th going to be where I'm going to finish? Let's see if there's anything left in this race. Now I've gained a second there on those, that battle for second. Certainly been a very clean and fair race by everyone. So it's obviously we're not all clumped up together, so there's not less chance of knockings about, but there hasn't been many penalties that we've seen, so that's always good. And so far I've had a mistake-free race myself. I've turned the power mode back up to 1, means we've refueled with 5 laps worth of fuel in the tank. So I'm hunting down. I've got the gap down to 1.3 seconds over Martos Chima as well. So I'm gaining. So gaining is always one thing. Getting past is sometimes a different kettle of fish. But I've done it before in this race, moving up. Let's see if we can get past either of these drivers. As he runs a little wide through that first hairpin. Little wide, so now I'm right on his tail. For this next section of chicanes, I'm going to have to lift off a little bit early just to save running in the back of him, because that's the last thing I want. So we've lost that little bit of time there, but we've still got, in fact we both look like we're reeling in Bad News Jones as well. Maybe, possibly, as I get a best time of the race so far at that section there. You'll notice as I go through these sector checkpoints, which are marked with the dashes on the track grid in the corner, you'll see my time come up. Now if that time is green, that means that it's my best time at that point in the racetrack of any race or of any lap I've done thus far. So we'll see here. There you go, 1:10.5. Now that's my best time. It's 8 seconds up of my previous best time as Martos Chima goes off. He guns into that inside of that corner, and that's given me 3rd place. That's unfortunate for him. Unforced errors. We've had them all before. We've all had them, and they're not great. Now I'm less than 2 seconds to Bad News Jones. So the other thing about those sector times or the lap times, they also give you an SR. It tells you whether your SR is approved. Now that's your sportsmanship rating. And as long as you have a clean race, you don't bash into people, you don't go off the track too often, then your SR, you don't stay with the green arrow, means your SR rating has gone up. But as S is the maximum you can be, SR rating of S is the highest, which I already am, then you can't go any higher. But that was my fastest lap of the race. 3/10 off the fastest lap of the race. So that's and look how close we are now to Bad News Jones. What have we got left? We've got this lap and 2 more as I go faster again in that sector. And he's gone wide there, which has given me a good exit, trying to get a slipstream. I maybe could have taken a little different line there and got past him, but I wasn't sure, so I'd rather gain the slipstream up this section.
See if we can get some better lines through here as he misses that apex. Again, oh, like the S's at Japan, they're not a great place to get through, but he's gone wide there. That gives me an impetus to get past on the inside, which I have. Yes, get in. There aren't many overtakes in this game, but if someone feels pressured, it might make them, might force him into an unforced error, which that maybe did. Maybe he felt a little pressured there. But I've got to watch him in my rear view mirror. He's obviously still there. He's only 3/10 down. I've already been outbraked into this first hairpin before. As he's getting some slips, I'm trying to weave across the track, trying to break his slipstream. But he's gained, and there he is. Oh, and couldn't quite go for the inside line there because he jumped into the apex in front of me. I had to be wary of cutting him off. Maybe could have been a little bit more forceful, but I didn't want to push him off, so I almost let him through there. But we've been past him once, can we do it again? This certainly isn't the section to do it. Hang in there on this 14th of the 15 laps. Come on. I almost went a bit deep there with my understeering, screeching tyres. We're behind him again. We're getting another toe up here. Half a second. 4/10. Come on. Keeping my line clean. Trying not to let his... There we go. Yes! Go on. Yes, got through on the inside there, that last of the S's. Took advantage of his racing line, which I'd noticed early. He didn't tend to get quite so close to those apexes, and his line left me a gap. And this time, I'm slightly further ahead. Can I keep this lead now going into that first corner? So, got to concentrate. And you see he's half a second down. He's not quite so close this time round. Oh, and he's pitted. He's gone in on medium. He's only got 8 litres of fuel left and the medium tyres. So maybe he hasn't used the right tyres. Maybe he feels he's not going to finish the race. So that's it. That's give me a 6-second advantage now. My fuel is running a little low. It has actually just turned to red now. By the time I did the race, obviously there's commentating after the fact. Have I noticed that when I was racing? 5.7 seconds up. It might be that I get around these corners, get on this straighter part of the track and have a little look down. Come on, I need to know that I'm going to get round. Yeah, you see I've changed my power now. Fuel mop down to 4 to try and eke out those last litres of fuel, get me to the end of the lap. Not quite sure how low it is when it gets to red, but I certainly want to, yeah, I've knocked it right down to 6 now. Now what you can also hear now, you can hear me easing off into the corners, lifting and coasting. If you listen, see I've lifted right off well before the braking zone, which is something that the drivers use to save even fuel even further. So you lift off the power, lift off the throttle, you coast up to the corner. So I'm doing everything I can now to make sure I finish this race. I don't want a mistake like this not to finish. It obviously is giving third place a chance to catch up, but I've still got 3 seconds as we come around this final corner. Oh, there you go, it's finally flashed up. 8.8 of a lap left, so I would have had enough, but I didn't want to risk it. This is a great result in second place. Across the line, yes! Second place. Second place. So even with that fuel saving in the final lap, 10 seconds off the leader, I can take that. Great result, second, and there you go, 23 points that got me. because of the higher rated drivers I was racing against. Fantastic. I hope you enjoyed that race. See you next time.